Sarah, we'll start with you.
Hey Sean, did you guys come out of the game without any injuries?
I think we came out okay. Guys are still getting in a little bit. They haven't gotten in yet. So, as far as I know, Reggie said we came out fairly clean. It seems like Cam Kitchens is going to be okay. Got a little stinger last night. But that could change just based on, guys coming in this morning. But when I spoke with Reggie after the game, and his kind of checks before guys left, that was a positive.
Matthew Stafford, I don't know if he's going to play in week 18, but he's 191 yards shy of the 60,000 yard passing milestone. If he does hit that, he would be the third fastest to do it if he does it in his 16th season. I know he's not about individual stats, but what will that mean for his football legacy if he's able to join that group?
Yeah, I think that, when you start talking about these types of things, it's an incredible testament to the consistency over time. I think the longer that you get a chance to be a part of how competitive this league is and how hard it is to just win games or to do some of the things to go out there and put up some of the numbers that are in alignment with trying to go win football games week in and week out, you realize how special that consistency word is. And certainly he's been doing it for a lot longer than I've been a head coach. And it's a credible testament, to the career, the resilience, the mental toughness, the physical toughness, the competitive stamina, all those things to even be in a position to have that as part of the conversation. So nothing but respect, but he's a Hall of Famer in my book, Sarah. And I think a lot of these numbers back it up, but also the way that he elevates his teammates, which I think is the most important thing.
You guys go into this week not knowing one, if you've clinched a playoff spot, but two, when that game would be until later tonight or tomorrow. How do you prepare and set up this week as you get ready for Seattle, not knowing, I guess, whether that game is somewhere you have to game plan or play your starters for?
Yeah, regardless, we're going to prepare for this game. And so obviously, like I know Gary will ask me about here in a couple seconds, there's some different scenarios and things that can play out. I'm aware of those now and what those entail, but whether or not that changes our approach, I don't think that can affect us. So we'll come in, we'll clean up the tape from yesterday. We'll look at the things that we need to do to be able to move forward. And we're operating with the assumption that we're going to play on Saturday. So rather than say, all right, hey, we don't know if we're playing Saturday or Sunday, we're going to take the approach that we'll get our players in, get them a lift, get them out of here. Tomorrow will be their players' day off, and we're going to operate under the assumption that we're playing on Saturday until they tell us otherwise.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Adam.
Sean, how close was Rob to being able to go yesterday?
Close. That shoulder is such a finicky thing, and it's such an important part of being able to control those blocks. It's such a freak thing that happened in practice. We don't have any padded practices left unless we're fortunate enough to earn the opportunity to get in. And so it's one of those just kind of awkward collisions. It didn't look like much, but when you look at the scan, there was something there that said there's a strain, and you want to be smart with that. But he's going to do everything in his power to be ready to roll, and he was certainly missed last night.
When you look at the way the defense played yesterday, I'm curious if there are any play calls that kind of indicate to you how far Chris has come in his first year as a coordinator.
Yeah, I think one would short the job that he and the coaching staff did. I think, obviously the last one where you're coming after him, being aggressive, and it leads to ball kind of going off of McBride's head and then Ahkello making an incredible play. But I thought we had a lot of bullets yesterday. I thought Chris did an excellent job of being able to mix a variety of different looks. I thought we rushed for the most part with pretty good integrity. Where Fiske able to get a sack, Fiske able to get a couple sacks, Byron Young's one, Kobie Turner, and then I thought our pressure on him throughout the majority of the day, and we were able to be pretty sticky in coverage. So I just think it's the different varieties of things that he presented throughout, and it's one of those deals that, all right, our guys they just stay in the moment, and they've made key and critical stops deep in red zone areas, whether it's fourth down stops or the turnover like we talked about. So I think to just say one in general would be shorting the the body of work that was on display yesterday from our defense as a whole. And Chris was certainly an instrumental part of that, and really proud of him.
You talked yesterday about the identity of the team. I'm curious if you feel like there's an individual identity for this rookie class and what they've been able, like that has allowed them to be able to contribute the way that they have this year.
Yeah, I don't want to separate. I think what we will say is this team is they are an embodiment of this team, mentally tough. I have mentioned a lot, Adam, and we've talked about it, that this is a mature group. I think when you look at the competitive stamina that's been required to be in the positions that this group has put themselves in and the opportunities they've earned, it takes a competitive stamina. It takes a resilience. I think there's been a physical toughness, and I think a lot of these guys are grown men, and that's what we're looking for. And I think that's why you're able to play the style of football and really win a lot of the games the way that we have, especially with the defense being such a critical factor in a lot of those games.
With these games that could determine your fate today, do you plan on sitting down and watching them, checking the scores on your phone?
Yeah, I'll have them on. I think I'll definitely be paying attention to them. But I think for us, we'll clean this film up. We'll get with the coaches, and then we'll start to get our plans together as far as what's the best way to approach our Seattle preparation. Like we would in any other week, while having our eye on those games. But maybe a little bit more intentful. But that's typically what I would do if we had played a little bit earlier, anyways.
Thanks, Sean.
You're welcome.
Stu.
Hey, Sean, kind of along the lines of what Adam was asking you about Shula, what stood out to you just about the way he's managed kind of the highs and lows that this unit has experienced, and just basically the growing pains of this young defense over the course of the season to get them to where they are now?
Yeah, I think a lot of the things that I've said positive about this team, I think are reflective and representative of Chris Shula's personality. Steady, resilient, mentally tough, never flinches. Those are the things that he's been throughout. But I also think he's also had great agility, great internal confidence to be able to navigate a bunch of different things, great understanding of the belief and the connection that he and I had, and really he to his coaches, that he's working alongside, and then also with the players. This is a connected group. And when you go through the different things that we've gone through, you can't help but be connected. You're appreciative of the calluses that have been created in the midst of this journey. But there's been improvement, there's been growth, and there's been just a steady guy at the switch that I've been really proud of. And I'm not at all surprised, but I don't take it for granted. And he's done an excellent job, and he's only going to continue to get better as he accumulates experience in these leadership roles.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You got it.
Jordan.
Hey, Sean, on Jared Verse, also that lamp, I've never seen a lamp like that before, so I've just been trying to figure out what that is.
It's a lamp that I can at least turn on the light, because the way the lights are in this office, I can't see the damn TV screen when I turn them on, so that's my light.
Always something, huh?
Yeah.
So with Jared Verse, with the way that he is getting pressure, the way he's gotten pressure through the course of the season, have you noticed his teammates start to play off of some of the attention maybe that he's receiving? Is that something that you're noticing happening, or is the rush plan sort of coming together off of other players or as a collective instead?
Yeah, I think it's collective, but I think the best part about it is there's been clarity and an understanding of where your opportunities, arise. What's the intent, and just because we might be running a game and somebody's a penetrator to set somebody else up, oftentimes that penetrator ends up being the one that comes clean and ends up getting the sack. But or are you a two-way go and somebody has a cover me on you, and where's the looper and what does that mean? And so I think our coaches have done a really good job, Jordan, of putting guys in good spots while also making sure that it's not so consistent that you can kind of get a beat on it from an opponent perspective. But Jared Verse has really grown a lot. He's coachable. I think he's really starting to understand, like we've talked about before, where are my playoffs? What's the intent behind some of these calls or these movements that Joe and Giff and AC activate up front? And so the answer is yes. I think it's really been a combination of guys learning how to rush together better. And Jared is understanding where his opportunities align. as well as with Fiske, with Kobie, with Byron Young, different things like that with Michael Hoyt, or if you get Big Bobby in there. So I think we're just learning how to play better as a unit and versus understanding where his opportunities do come into play. And then I think other guys will start to understand based on what are those protection plans and approaches, if they're tilted towards one player or another, how that opens up some of their opportunities, which is a key thing to understanding how to improve and be better collectively as a rush group.
And then on the other side of the ball, what's your evaluation of how Cooper Kupp has played over the last several games?
I think he's played good, Jordan. I think it really comes down to are we getting opportunities, and there was the receiver position is unique, right? Because there's so many things that you're relying upon to be able to be a factor. Protection, then it does the coverage dictate me getting the football? Am I getting the opportunity? And so with what he can control, I think he's done a good job, Jordan.
And then this is super random, related to situational management and those types of things. Is there anything that exists, like, for example, a challenge flag being set down on the grass that is intended, like, that it can't be the play in question can't be challenged, but it exists maybe for another purpose, such as resetting your defense or something like that?
I think you're asking me to get in trouble right now.
I'm just asking if there's anything that exists strategy-wise in a game that gives your players time that's not calling a timeout.
Oh, I understand. It's like a player faking an injury. That's just a coach's version of it, is what I'm gathering from it. We haven't talked about those things. I'm not so sure.
All right, thanks.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean. What is your kind of like schedule itinerary on a day after, like today, as the games are going on, as those other games are going on? What's kind of the layout of your day and the coach's day?
Yeah, so we'll after I get done with you guys, I'll meet with them. We'll kind of just clean up this game, go through that, make sure that we get our ducks in a row, and then we'll start our preparation as if today was a Monday, just assuming that we're playing on Saturday. So this is a little bit less media obligations, if I just get done with this. So then we'll start cleaning this game up, and then we'll work on the next upcoming opponent. And like I said, we'll have the games on in the background, but there is some fortunate things that you can get guys out of the office maybe a little bit earlier to get with their families, but still be able to do some stuff, and then come in really ready to roll tomorrow. But what we'll do is we'll meet as a staff, we'll clean up this game. Our players will come in, lift, and then be able to kind of just get some treatment and get out of here. Their day off will be tomorrow. And then we'll use today to get our initial jump on Seattle, and then tomorrow we'll really dive into it.
And then, fans and people like us writers, we look at that schedule today and look at those games, trying to figure out, who's got a chance to win, whatnot. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Do you do that as coaches too? Do you handicap those games at all and try and figure who gives you the best chance of maybe getting those 3 wins?
I think you look at it and you say, all right, subconsciously, I think you think what might happen, but I think that's why a lot of people lose their ass betting on NFL games probably. So, I think the more that the more you learn, the more you realize, man, you just never know. But to say that you don't subconsciously handicap that or say that should work in our favor, I think that would be not accurate, but it's why you watch the games and see.
And then finally for me, I know you don't want to put the cart before the horse, but if you guys were able to clinch it with that strength of victory, how would you celebrate that individually and as a group? Not, with the players having a day off tomorrow, you wouldn't see them, until the next day. How would you imagine that would be kind of celebrated?
I don't know. That'd be a positive problem, though, Gary. Maybe I'll call guys up, say congratulations. We'll have a Zoom team meeting. I don't know. That it's weird. You'd like to be able to, if we were able to do that, you'd love to be able to do that collectively. But however we do it, I'm certainly not going to be complaining. So let's hope that that's an answer that I have for you the next time we connect, Gary.
All right. Thanks very much.
You got it, man.
Brett.
Hey, good morning, Sean. Let's talk special teams. First of all, the block kick and the pressure your teams have been putting on the opposing kicking and punting teams in the last recent months.
Yeah, I mean, I think Chase and obviously we've had a couple different guys helping, but Coach Ackerman's been outstanding for the last couple weeks. But Michael Hoyt's been a guy that's made a big impact on the field goal block unit all year, and he's been really close. He had one earlier in the year, and then he gets his second one yesterday. He had the one against New England, and then ends up having one yesterday. And so he's done an excellent job. Overall, some people just have a knack for it. I think our punt unit has done a good job when we've decided to be able to come after it. Obviously, a few weeks ago with Jake Hummel getting the big block that led to Hunter Long's touchdown. So I've been really pleased with that group as a whole, and that's been a real positive for us.
And talk about the punting yesterday, your punting unit. That was excellent work, correct?
Yeah, I think Ethan has been excellent on the short field punts all year. Consistently been able to pin opponents deep. That was a great job by Xavier Smith on the one, being able to field it. But Ethan has really been able to be consistently accurate and done an excellent job of pinning opponents deep in territory and forcing them to go to length. You look at last week, we get a couple down in, one inside the one. And then yesterday, I believe there was 3 inside the 10. So excellent job by Ethan and really the unit as a whole.
Yes, thank you. One more question. This has to do with all 3 phases of your team. If you have all of them moving in the direction you'd like, which one is the offense the most difficult to maintain a consistency and a cohesion game in and game out?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a loaded question. I think that when you look at yesterday, I think the easiest thing is the recency bias. Really proud of the way our defense stood up, made great stops. You just mentioned, I thought there was a lot of positives from the kicking game, and certainly a lot of learning opportunities, for the offense and things that they can collectively learn from and be able to apply moving forward. But there was enough good things to be able to come away with the win, and so I think as it relates to yesterday, the offensive group would be one. But hey, we win as a team, and I'm proud of that group.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome,
Eric.
Good morning, Coach. A couple questions for you. You mentioned that the defensive line is rushing better as a group. Wanted to know about the cheetah package a little bit when you get your best pass rushers out there. What was the origination of that and kind of getting that group together, and why have they been so successful?
What package?
Michael Hoyt mentioned the cheetah package when he was on with.
He's right. Tell Hoyt to be quiet. No. You know what? It's I think you just mentioned it, Eric. It's an opportunity when you get in some known rush situations to get some guys with some versatile skill sets. And I'm going to start calling it the kitty cat package for Hoyt after he told you what the name of it is.
And did you use the bye week as a self-scout to kind of figure out, how to be better with that group after the 1-4 start? How much did that help, I guess?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, when they were asking about just Chris and our defensive staff, I just think there's been great agility to say, and part of it was at the bye, but I think it's been an ongoing and evolving thing that is a week in and week out type of deal. Hey, let's look at ourselves collectively. Let's figure out the best ways to utilize our personnel, put them in the right spots based on certain situations that can arise throughout the course of the game. And let's make sure that we're multiple in what we can present. And so that has been something that, you first saw it come out of the bye week was when we really started to utilize that. And I think it's been an evolving package, and there's been some different variations of things like that we can present on, not exclusively to pass downs, but that has been a big package for us, and you got to earn the right to get into it. But we've had a lot of success out of that. And there's been some other ones that are kind of some designer, a little bit out of the box, normal things that people aren't accustomed to seeing that takes advantage of our guys' skill sets.
One last one, Coach. There's reports that Pete Carroll wants to get back into coaching. You faced Pete a lot over the years being in the NFC West. What made his teams tough to go against twice a year?
I think the consistency, the culture. I mean, there's a lot of things that I look up to Coach Carroll about. Way he moved, the authentic enthusiasm, the love to compete, the love for the challenges that arise week in and week out. the mental toughness that his group's played with. Football would be better with Pete Carroll in it. He's a guy that I've looked up to. There's a lot of things that the values and principles that he stands for, we've tried to mimic and emulate. You're not going to get anything but respect, from me towards him. And I was also very appreciative of the way that he treated me. I've known Coach Carroll for a long time, going back to when he and my grandfather worked together, heard what a great man he was. And then when you hear about people that have worked with him, that have seen it, whether that's players or coaches, and the consistency, the leadership, a lot of those things are the way you'd hope to be described as a coach. And he's a stud, and his energy is endless, it seems like.
Thanks. Appreciate it, Coach.
You got it.
We'll wrap up with Greg, then a quick one for Wyatt.
Hey, good morning, Sean.
Morning, Greg.
Cobie Durant played some special team snaps last night, so he must be healthy, obviously. What did Ahkello do to seize that starting job away that Cobie had been playing for most of the season?
Yeah, here's what I would say. I look at it, Greg, as we've got 3 starting corners, with Darius, with Ahkello, and with Cobie. And really, it wasn't anything that Cobie hasn't done. You mentioned it. Ahkello's played well. Felt like that was the right approach for that game, just based on kind of some of the rhythm that had been established over the last couple weeks. When you look at how we had played against the Niners and against the Jets, and it's a week-to-week thing, but Ahkello's played really well. I think he's really made, I think he's been sticky in coverage. He's been able to get his hands on the football with pass deflections, and then obviously makes a big play. But I'll tell you what says as much about Cobie Durant to me as anything, Greg. Watch who one of the first people is out there celebrating with Ahkello. It's number 14. Great freaking teammate, stud. He's gonna be a factor for us moving forward. He's had a really good season. And I look at it as we have 3 starting corners, which is a real positive.
Okay. And then on the offense, I know you have to talk about stuff like in generalities, we got to be better. It starts with me, all that stuff. But is there one thing that you'd like to see the offense do better that it hasn't been doing down the stretch? Because, there's a lot of factors to it, but 3 touchdowns in 3 weeks is surprising for the Los Angeles Rams.
It is, and here's what I would say. I think the Niners game and yesterday to me was frustrating because I think there was a lot of opportunities to execute and make plays that we didn't, to get ourselves in rhythm. I thought we played the Jets game the way that we wanted to. The possessions were so limited. And then the Niners game, the weather was a factor. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like offensively there wasn't, opportunities to be better. But yesterday, felt a little different than those previous 2 because there was some chances for us to make plays with guys that we've counted on. And there were some chances for me to make a better call in a situation that would have given us a better chance to execute. And you're not just giving the lip service, but the thing that's really hard about offensive football is it truly does take all 11. Sometimes when we're playing really well defensively, one guy can be able to kind of just check whoop, be able to go make one play and overcome some different things. And Artist, you have to bleep that one out for me. But the other thing is like, hey, you're so reliant on everybody to be able to do their jobs. That's what you love about offensive football. That's why I think football in general is the greatest team sport that there is. But yesterday, Greg, I don't think there's one thing I can point to. I think I could go, on and on about, some of the things that, starting with me, but then also about our execution in terms of getting connected in the run game, targeted the right way, making sure that the ball's going where it should go. And guys that I know are capable of playing the way that we've seen, if they do that, then I know that it's not as far as sometimes it can feel like, but ultimately we got to be able to do it. And the thing I will say that I'm not going to take for granted is we could start fast, but if we're not finishing and finding a way to score, then we're sitting here with a lot different conversation. And I did think that field goal, even though we'd love to end up with a touchdown, was a critical factor to go up 4, when the drives were at a minimum based on how they were possessing the football, especially in the second half.
Cool. Thank you.
You got it.
Wyatt.
Hey, Sean. Seems like Kobie Turner is, runs a lot of stunts and is in the middle of a lot of those plays that generate pressure. What makes him so good at executing those and also having the people he's running those stunts with in a good position to make a play?
Yeah, I think get off, usually when you're an interior player, you're at the middle of a lot of those different types of things. So I think get off, hand quickness, the ability to work an edge and then to be able to fight through once you get that edge, to be able to generate penetration. I think he's also a good finisher. You know, I looked at him last year. One of the things that stood out, he was a closer, man. When he'd get in close proximity to the quarterback, he had the ability to accelerate and make those types of plays. And so, you know, just I think it's a tremendous credit to him, but also I think the coaches are doing a good job of putting guys in the right spots.
And just really quick, do you see some of those characteristics in Braden Fiske coming out in his game?
I do. Yeah, I think anytime that you're able to see a great example like a Kobie Turner, he's so conscientious. Talking about Fiske, really they both are, but Fiske is so conscientious. He's observing, he's taking it in. He's so coachable, and been really pleased with the job that he's done, and you know, give Smith's leadership of that room as a whole.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Alrighty.
Coach.
Thanks, guys.